Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Caitanya Caritāmrta audio class. Thank you for joining in. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuron Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from Caitanya Caritāmrta. We are on chapter 7. The chapter is entitled Lord Chaitanya and 5 Features. And in this chapter, a very interesting discussion is happening between Prakashananda Saraswati and all the sannyasis, Mayavadi sannyasis, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as we all know, as we are discussing, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to deliver everyone. In this love of God, he wanted to give this love of God to everyone. He wanted to drown everyone in this river of love. Chaitanya avatare vahe premamrita vanya sabajiva preme bhasya prithvi hoilo dhanya. So he wanted to drown everyone in this ocean of, in this river of love. But few people were running away. Mayavadi karmanishta kutarkika gan nindaka pashandiyata padvya adham. All these people were trying to run away. So Mahaprabhu devised a trick. And he took sannyas and he delivered everyone, but one group was still remaining, and that was Mayavadis. So on the way to Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu reached Varanasi. He heard all the Mayavadi sannyasis criticizing him. Oh, you are a bhavuka. He is dancing like a sentimentalist. Went to Vrindavan, again came back, and this time he wanted to deliver all of them. So on the request of a Brahmana, Mahaprabhu went to his home where all the other Mayavadi sannyasis were also there. And he washed his feet and he sat at the same place and exhibited his Brahman effulgence. All the Mayavadis, they got attracted, seeing the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord. That's how Mayavadis are. They are attracted to Brahman. They are attracted to light. Prakashananda Saraswati, he personally came and caught hold of the hand of Mahaprabhu, brought him and made him sit in a proper place. And he asked, why are you, chanting and dancing like sentimental people? Then Mahaprabhu spoke, oh, my guru, he thought that I am unintelligent. Guru more murkh dekhi korila sashan. And he told me that you chant the holy names. You cannot read Vedanta. That's why I'm chanting. And then further discussion happened. And then he asked the second question, but why are you not studying Vedanta? What is the problem in studying Vedanta? Sannyasis, they are supposed to read the Shariraka Bhashya, the Vedanta written by, commentary on Vedanta written by Shankaracharya. Why are you not reading with us? So that was the question. And we were discussing this. We were on 105 verse of the 7th chapter. In this, it is described, all the sannyasis, they are telling, dear sir, by seeing your effulgence, our minds are very satisfied and we believe that whatever you are speaking is very, very reasonable. It can never be unreasonable. Tomar prabhave sabar anandit man, kabhu asangat nahe tomar vachan. Kabhu asangat nahe. Your words can never be unreasonable. So Prabhupada writes an interesting purport there. He says, although these sannyasis, they were Mayavadis, but because they were trained in such a pure way of living, they could see that this personality is not an ordinary personality. And he writes, unless one is advanced, he cannot see the influence of, he cannot influence an audience. So Mahaprabhu, he was his Supreme Lord himself. So he could influence all these Mayavadis with his effulgence. Prabhupada writes, all sannyasis knew that since a perfectly advanced spiritualist never says anything which is false, it has to be reasonable. So a great devotee of the Lord, advanced devotee of the Lord, he never says anything wrong. And even if they speak something wrong, it is for a higher cause. Mushitosmi Mahatma Bhi. That's what Akrura Sanjay tells about Dhritarashtra. When Dhritarashtra left along with Gandhari for the forest, he says, oh, the great souls have cheated me. Prabhupada writes an interesting line there. Great souls cheat for the great cause. So generally speaking, spiritualists, they never say anything wrong, anything false. But sometimes they, devise a trick so that the living entities can be brought to Krishna consciousness. So when the Lord heard all these things, now he started speaking. And he spoke from Vedanta philosophy. He said, look, Vedanta philosophy consists of the words spoken by the Supreme Lord in the form of Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva, who is he? He is not an ordinary personality. He is a literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and he has written Vedanta Sutra. And Prabhupada writes in detail what is Vedanta Sutra. So now, all these chapters, they are very, very technical chapters. Srila Prabhupada and Caitanya Mahaprabhu describes in detail what is this Mayavad. He thoroughly smashes this Mayavad philosophy, and Prabhupada, to add on to it, gives elaborate purport on what is Mayavad philosophy. So it is a technical chapter and many of us may not be able to understand, but still, we should hear and at least we'll have some understanding of, okay, aisa bhi kuch hota hai. And if you can grasp it, that is great. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that Vedanta Sutra, what is this? Vedanta Sutra consists of aphorisms. Aphorisms means, some very technical statements which give immense meaning. Few words. For example, what are the Vedanta Sutras? Athato Brahma Jigyasa, 3 words. Aham Brahmasmi, 2 words. Tat Tvam Asi, 3 words. All these are Vedanta Sutras. Anandamayo Abhyasat. So aphorism means concise form of all the Vedic knowledge. That is called as Vedanta Sutra. And Prabhupada writes that Vedanta Sutra, it was written by Vyasadeva for what? What is the purpose? The purpose of Vedanta Sutra was to bring a person to understanding the value of human form of life. That's why it begins with Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now you should inquire. Therefore, Athato. Therefore you should inquire. So Prabhupada, he quotes a verse from one Purana, and he explains what is the definition of sutra. We call Vedanta Sutra. Sutra kya hota hai? What is called as sutra? What is the definition of sutra? There are lots of things which are coming as sutra. The sutra for business, sutra for mindful living. Sutra. What is sutra? So if you want to know the definition of sutra, Prabhupada gives in this purport. Alpaksharam asandigdham saravat vishwato mukham astobham anavadyam cha sutram sutravido vidaha. This is the definition of sutra. Alpa aksharam. It should not be elaborate explanation. Alpa aksharam, few words. Asandigdham. Asandigdha means it should be expressed in a proper way without a doubt. It should not create a doubt. Saravat, it should give the essence of what? Essence of Vishwato Mukham, all the knowledge. So sutra means the essence of all the knowledge represented in concise words. And what are the other two qualities of this? Astobham anavadyam. Astobham means it should be universally applicable. Anavadyam, it should be faultless. This is the definition of Vedanta Sutra. So sutra, any sutra, if you are giving a sutra, that means it should have these four qualities. Few words, giving the essence, universally applicable, without any faults. If something is matching to these standards, then that is called a sutra. Otherwise, it is not a sutra. So in Vedanta Sutra, there are 4 chapters. And each chapter is further divided into 4 divisions. So basically, there are 16 divisions of Vedanta Sutra. 16 divisions of aphorisms, which are called as Shodasha Pada. All these technical terms are there. Shodasha Pada. Shodash means 16. 4 chapters. Each chapter has 4 divisions. That's why it is called a Shodasha. Now, the theme of each and every division, all these 16 divisions. So the theme of each and every division is described in terms of 5 different subject matters. Every chapter, every theme of this, division has 5 different subject matters. First, pratigya. Pratigya means a solemn declaration about the purpose. What is the purpose of presenting this sutra? This division, what is the purpose of this division? So that is pratigya. So the beginning of Vedanta Sutra is, why this Vedanta Sutra is written, the purpose. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That's how Vedanta Sutra begins with. So the purpose of Vedanta Sutra is to inquire about the absolute truth. That is the solemn declaration. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. And then second is Hetu. Some reasons must be expressed. What is the reason? Why I'm presenting this? Then third is Udaharana. Some examples must be given to explain the subject matter. Then fourth is Upanaya. Upanaya means the theme must be gradually brought to the proper level of understanding. A person who is hearing this and reading this sutra or Shodashapada, he should come to a proper understanding. Otherwise, most of the books of philosophy and Mayavad which are available, when a person is reading those books, by default, at the end of the reading, everyone says कुछ समझा नहीं, but कुछ तो अच्छा लिखा है, but कुछ समझा नहीं. लिखा तो बहुत अच्छा है, very nicely written, very high language, very philosophical, but beyond my scope of understanding. So the subject should be presented with examples, and slowly a person should be brought near proper understanding. That is called Upanaya. And finally, the fifth is Nigama. Nigama is, it should be supported by authoritative quotations from the Shastras. These are the five things in every five subject matter in every division of Vedanta Sutra. Pratigya, Hetu, Udaharan, Upanaya, and Nigamana. So all these things should be there. That's why it is called as Vedanta. So Prabhupada writes, Veda means knowledge, Anta means the end. So the ultimate perfection or conclusion of all the knowledge is called as Vedanta. He goes into more detail. What is this Vedanta? So as we discussed that Vedanta Sutra has 4 chapters, right? Out of these 4 chapters, first 2 chapters establish the Sambandha Gyan. What is Sambandha Gyan? What is our relationship with the Supreme Lord? That is Sambandha Gyan. The first 2 chapters deal with that. Third chapter deals with Abhideya. How to develop that, how to establish that relationship. Okay, this is a relation which is there between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. How to establish it now again? It has become very weak. It has been covered by so many of the other things. How to reestablish it? That is called Abhideya, which is mentioned in the 3rd chapter of Vedanta Sutra. And the 4th chapter of Vedanta Sutra explains the Prayojan, the ultimate goal which one will achieve by practicing all this. That is to go back home, back to Godhead. So if you see, entire Vedic knowledge is categorized into 3 things: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. That's it. So Prabhupada writes, Srila Vyasadeva, he is a very, very powerful incarnation of Lord Narayan, and he is an author of Vedanta Sutra. And he knew that people in future, they will manipulate this Vedanta Sutra. They may try to screw out wrong meanings out of it. So to protect the Vedanta Sutra from unauthorized commentaries, he himself wrote a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And what is that? That is Srimad Bhagavatam. Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam Bharatartha Vinirnayah Gayatri Bhasya Ruposo Vedartha Parivedanta Paribrahmita. Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam. This Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Brahma Sutras, essence of all Gayatri Mantra and Vedanta Sutras. That is mentioned. So Vyasadeva, to protect this commentary, protect this Vedanta Sutra, he himself wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he has also confirmed this. Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Brajavadhu Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Brahmanam Amalam. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahaprabhu Matamidam Prema Pumarto Mahan. So Srimad Bhagavatam is Amalam Puranam. And it is, the verdict is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So therefore, one should never ever get disturbed or distracted and swayed away by the false commentaries written by Shankaracharya. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes that this Vyasa, he continues. He says, you are telling that why I'm not studying Vedanta, but and you are telling me to read this Shankaracharya, Sharirak Bhashya written by Shankaracharya. But Vedanta Sutra, it is the word of Supreme Lord written in the form of Vyasadeva. It is a Vedanta. And any person of this world, if he writes something, there are 4 faults in it. Brahm Pramada Vipralipsa Karna Patav Ishwarera vakya nahi dos e dosh e sab. Anybody of this world, any human being, whoever he may be, if he does something, if he writes something, if he speaks something, if he sees something, it must be faulty. Just like, in the physics, there is an experiment which uses vernier caliper. So to perform the experiment with vernier caliper, you have to first remove the calibration error, because if the error is not removed, all the practical goes waste, because the error is not removed, calibration error. Similarly, all the human beings, they have 4 types of calibration error: bhrama, pramada, vipralipsa, karnapata. Bhrama means tendency to make mistakes, pramada, to be illusioned, vipralipsa, cheating propensity, karnapata, karnapata means imperfect senses. Ishwarera vakye nahi dos e sab. But when Supreme Lord speaks, because he is not material, his words are not material. Supreme Lord is all spiritual. So therefore, Ishwarera vakya nahi dosh e sab. When the Supreme Lord speaks, his words are not faulty. So Prabhupada writes in purport in detail. He explains what are these 4 faults. He says, mistake means, if you are walking in the darkness and you see a rope lying and you think, oh, I think there is a snake around. That is mistake. Illusion. What is illusion? When you are inattentive in hearing, you misunderstand things and you are illusioned. And what is cheating? When you have defective understanding about something and you transmit the same defect by teaching, by telling to somebody, that is cheating. Just like one time, one professor of Hinduism, Sarup Damodar Maharaj, he brought him to meet Prabhupada. And he was talking to Prabhupada, and he said, I am a professor of Hinduism. So Prabhupada asked him, oh, what is the meaning of Hinduism? So this professor, he said, I don't know, Swamiji. So he thought maybe, he said, you tell us. I don't know, you tell us. What he was thinking that I will, if I tell, then it will not be fun. If Swamiji tells something and then I will prove him to be wrong. He wanted to actually demean Prabhupada. So he said, I don't know, Swamiji, you tell us. Then Prabhupada was also no less. Prabhupada, he told, just see, he is teaching, but he doesn't know what he is teaching. And he pointed to Brahmanand Prabhu, who was standing there. What do you call a person who is teaching something which he doesn't know? And he said, Brahmanand Prabhu said, Prabhupada, he's a cheater. So Prabhupada turned towards this person, professor. He said, he is calling you cheater. What do you have to say? And the discussion went on back and forth. And ultimately, this professor, he became, so overwhelmed. He accepted. He said, I am a cheater, but I am an honest cheater. And Prabhupada started laughing. And then the discussion went on. So this is how cheating propensity. You don't know something, but still you are telling this. Prabhupada writes, material philosophers and scientists, what are they doing? They are using the word maybe, perhaps. They don't know exact thing. They don't know what is what. So that is how we have to understand that any human being, if he speaks something, writes something, sees something, it will be imperfect because we have imperfect senses. Our eyes cannot see beyond infrared or ultraviolet. Our ears cannot hear below 20 hertz and beyond 20k hertz. Our senses are imperfect. We cannot expect that we will get a right understanding. However best we may try, however accurate our instruments may be, even if we remove the calibration defect from the vernier caliper, but whatever we are taking in through our senses, it will be defective, because there is a inborn error. You cannot remove that error from the senses. So therefore, if we want to acquire knowledge about the Supreme, it has to be acquired from the Vedic knowledge. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. This knowledge was coming in parampara. That is the right way to get knowledge. And then Mahaprabhu continues that, absolute truth, it is defined in Upanishad, defined in Brahma Sutras, and one should understand these verses as they are. One should understand them as they are. That is the supreme glory. One should not screw out wrong meanings out of, some verses of scriptures. But some people, they misinterpret. They said, oh, yato mat tato pat. Whatever you think, you do like that. Because all paths lead to the same goal. That is their theory. As you like, do as you like. That is foolishness. Prabhupada writes, it is foolishness. And Prabhupada gives a simple example. How can all ways lead to same goal? No. If you are sitting in a train going to Calcutta, you will not go to Delhi, you will go to Calcutta. If you sit in any train and you think I'm going to Delhi, I'm going to Calcutta, you will not reach Calcutta. If you are sitting in a train going to Delhi, you will go to Delhi. So all paths don't lead to the same goal. So therefore, Prabhupada writes this philosophy as do as you like, any way you like. Yato mat tato pat. It has created a havoc in Vedic culture. And that's what these Mayavadis have done. Do as you like. Because after all, everything is one. Prabhupada gives a simple example. How can you say that? If somebody is a mathematics teacher, the mathematician has to follow the rules and regulations. He has to follow the principles. He has to follow the formulas. He cannot say, I'll use my own formula. No, it doesn't work like that. If somebody says 2 plus 2 is 4, no, I think 2 plus 2 must be 5. How is this possible? Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be accepted as it is. No confusions, no misinterpretations. Prabhupada writes an introduction to Bhagavad Gita that actually, this introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is speaking to no one. Prabhupada invited few people, nobody turned up. So Prabhupada just switched on the dictaphone and he's speaking to 4 walls. Such an eloquent presentation Prabhupada is giving in this introduction to no one. And Prabhupada tells in that one American lady, she asked me, Swamiji, which Bhagavad Gita should I read? And Prabhupada said, I could not suggest even one. Because all the people, they have written Bhagavad Gita according to their understanding. Because people think that if I write something, why people will listen to me? I am a no one. Nobody knows me. But if I write something taking shelter of Bhagavad Gita, then I'll become famous. But this is such a grave offense. It is just like I am speaking something in English, and if somebody doesn't know English, he's a Marathi person and doesn't know English. So somebody has to translate it from English to Marathi. But if this translator, he starts his own class, he is not translating what I am speaking. He is speaking whatever he likes to speak. So what is that? That is a serious offense. And that's what these, Bhagavad Gita scholars are doing many times. Many times people, they don't even mention the name of name of Krishna. Some people, they tell, oh, this Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra is this body. 5 Pandavas are 5 senses. Duryodhan represents all the sinful inclinations. Prabhupada was very much against all this. Prabhupada said, we don't accept all this. Because we know Kurukshetra exists. It is not just an allegory. It exists. People still go to the place of pilgrimage, still go to Kurukshetra, and they perform Vedic rituals there. So it is not false. So therefore, we have to derive the direct meaning from the scriptures. That is the glorious way. But if somebody misinterprets and takes out the different wrong meaning, Prabhupada writes, that is a disastrous blunder. That's why entire Vedic society is now destroyed because of this blunder, misinterpretation. And all these Mayavadi commentaries and misinterpretations, and there are so many so-called very popular scholars of scriptures. They are presenting scriptures in such wrong ways. So therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very much against. As he is speaking in this verse, why are you misinterpreting? An ordinary human being cannot speak something what is in Vedanta Sutra. Because everybody has 4 defects. How can you write something? How can you write about the spiritual literature? Because you have 4 defects. And then Prabhupada mentions that there are Upanishads, and out of 108 Upanishads, if somebody wants to know what are the 108 Upanishads, you can refer this purport. Prabhupada quotes name of all the 108 Upanishads in the purport, 108 verse. Very interesting. The verse number is 108, and Prabhupada is quoting 108 Upanishads in this 108 verse purport. And then he says, out of these 108 verse Upanishads, 11 are most prominent. They are topmost. Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Manduka, Mandukya, Taittiriya, Aitiriya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, and Shvetashvatar. So, if you see, Prabhupada quotes from these 11 Upanishads frequently because they are considered the topmost. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he continues. Gauna vritte yeba bhashyan Gaur-Vilas acharya tahara shravane nasha hoye sarva karya. Very strongly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is without any compromise. Just see the boldness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In midst of all these, thousands of Mayavadi sannyasis, who are all staunch followers of Shankaracharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thoroughly dismantling the misconceptions created by Shankaracharya. He says, Gauna Vritya Yeba Bhashya Gaur-Vilas Acharya. Acharya means Shankaracharya. So Gauna Vritti means indirect meaning. So Shankaracharya, he has described all the Vedic literatures in terms of indirect meaning. He has not given the direct meaning anywhere. And anyone who hears these indirect explanations, what happens to him? Sarvanash. He will be destroyed. Yahara Shravane Nasha Hoye Sarva Karya. All his endeavors will become futile. That's why our acharyas are very strong. If you hear Mayavad Bhashya Shunile Hoye Sarvanash. Because Shankaracharya, he has presented all indirect meanings. Prabhupada writes that Vedic literature is considered to be the topmost source of knowledge. It is real knowledge. And one should take it as it is. One should never ever misinterpret the scriptures. Never ever. if there is some scope for, if things are not clear, then you should give your commentary. Just like, for example, Gangayam Ghoshpalli. This is the word. Gangayam Ghoshpalli. So, technical meaning of this word is a village in the Ganga. So, the natural question may come, how can a village be in the Ganga? Gangayam Ghoshpalli. Palli means a village. Ghosha means cowherd village. A cowherd village in the Ganga. How is it possible? In such situations, we have to give interpretation. So interpretation is a cowherd village on the bank of Ganga. But if the meaning is as clear as sun, noonday sun, and still you are giving a interpretation, that is not right. That's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also. Is when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was thinking, oh, this young Mayavadi sannyasi, how he will maintain sannyas, with Nirantara Ihake Vedanta Shunaiba, Vairagya Advaita Marge Pravesha Karaiba. Oh, how he will maintain his sannyas. Wow, he's such a young, beautiful sannyasi. I will teach him Vedanta. 7 days he was teaching Mahaprabhu Vedanta. Now, all this Mayavad, after 7 days, he sees that sometimes when you are having an audience, online, no audience is seen. So, but if you're sitting in front of the audience, then sometimes the audience nod, or sometimes they have no expression on their face. So you can understand, ye samajh raha hai isko, nahi samajh raha hai, abhi bore ho gaya hai, acha lag raha hai. Mahaprabhu, he was not giving any expression. Ha bhi nahi, na bhi nahi, excited, depressed, no expression. A completely dull, inert face. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, are you understanding my explanations? Then Mahaprabhu said, Vedanta is like a noonday sun, and your explanation is like the cloud which is covering that sun. So therefore, one should never ever misinterpret the scriptures. Prabhupada he would tell many times that before we went to West, there were so many commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, but nobody became devotee. No one. But we have started writing and distributing this Bhagavad Gita as it is, and there are hundreds of people who are taking to Krishna consciousness. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mukhya Vritye se artha parama mahatva. Mukhya Vritye. You should give importance to the direct meaning first. Don't screw out indirect meanings. If somebody is really evident, why are you misinterpreting it? Just like when Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. One of the acharyas, one of the scholars, he tells, oh, when this personality is saying that you have to surrender to him, Manmana bhava, become his devotee, he is not telling about himself. You have to surrender to Krishna who is within this person. What is the use of such misinterpretation? Meaning is very simple and clear. Manmana bhava, Krishna is saying, become my devotee. Why you are misinterpreting? So therefore, one should never ever accept the indirect meaning. One should always accept the direct meaning first. And then Prabhupada writes, but it is not the fault of Shankaracharya. Don't blame him. Because Shankaracharya did on the order of Supreme Lord. And then Prabhupada quotes from Padma Puran. If somebody wants to have a quotation where it is written, Shankaracharya is writing on the instruction of Supreme Lord. Who is Shankaracharya? You can refer this 109 verse, 1010 verse of 7th chapter of Ādī-Līlā, where Srila Prabhupada is quoting Padma Purana again. In the Padma Purana, Lord Shiva is telling himself to Mother Parvati, Mayavadam Sashastram Prachannam Bauddhamuchyate Mayaiva Kalpitam Devi Kalau Brahmana Rupina. Mayavad is Asat Shastra. It is a false philosophy. False philosophy. Asat Shastra. It is impious. Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. Actually, it is covered Buddhism only. There is little difference between Buddhism and Mayavad. Buddhists, they don't accept that there is soul, existence of soul. After this life, everything is over, Shunya. And Mayavadis say, no, after this life, we become one. From 0 to 1. Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. You know who will speak this philosophy? Mayeva. I will do that. Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati. Mayeva Kalpitam Devi Kalau Brahmana Rupina. In a form of a Brahmana, I will propagate this false philosophy. Why I will do that? Brahmanascha param rupam nirgunam vakshyate maya sarvasvam jagatopyasya mohanartham kalau yuge. Why I'll do that? In order to bewilder the atheists. Mohanartham kalau yuge. To bewilder the atheists, I will describe the Supreme Lord to be nirguna, without any quality and without any form. I will do that to bewilder the atheists. And therefore, Vedante tu Mahashastre Maya Vadam Avaidikam Mayeva Vakshyate Devi Jagatam Nash Karanat. See, very clearly Lord Shiva is telling, this is for the purpose of, misleading the entire atheistic population. That's why I'll do that. Vedante tu Mahashastre. In explaining Vedanta, I'll explain this false Mayavad philosophy. Why? To cheat all these atheists. And they will deny the form of the Lord. Again in Shiva Purana. So first was in Padma Purana. Then in Shiva Purana, Supreme Lord himself is telling to Lord Shiva that you have to do it. In Padma Purana, Lord Shiva is telling, I will become. But who gave instructions to Lord Shiva? The Supreme Lord. Dvaparado yuge bhutva kalayama manushadishu swagame kalpitais tvamcha jagan mad vimukhan kuru. Lord is telling to Shiva, O Lord Shiva, Dvaparado, in the beginning, that means the end of Dwapara, that is in the beginning of Kali Yuga, what you should do? In the human society, Manushadishu, please propound a false philosophy, Kalpita, just imaginary philosophy. It is a Kalpita, imaginary philosophy. It has no foundation. So Mayavad, it is all imagination. Janan Mad Vimukhan Kuru. Please take all these people away from me. So Prabhupada quotes Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He tells, what is Mukhya Vritti and what is Gauna Vritti? Mukhya Vritti, or direct meaning, also called as Abhidha Vritti. So Abhidha Vritti means the direct meaning which one can get from dictionary. Direct meaning. Straightforward meaning. That is called as Mukhya Vritti. But what is Lakshana Vritti or Gauna Vritti? That means indirect meaning. If somebody is creating meanings without consulting dictionary, I don't like to consult dictionaries. I will create my own meaning. That is called Gauna Vritti or Lakshana Vritti. Prabhupada writes that, purpose of all the Vedic scriptures is to establish that Lord has a personal form. And the scriptures are replete with such examples and quotations of verses, quoting that Lord has a form. But some people, they accept Lakshana Vritti, indirect meaning. That's why all the Vaishnava Acharyas, they have presented this personal philosophy in such a nice way. Again, Prabhupada quotes from Padma Puran, where Lord Shiva is telling Parvati further, Shrinu Devi Pravakshyami, oh dear Parvati, please listen. Tamasani yatha karamam tamasani. I will spread this ignorance through Mayavad philosophy. The only purpose of this Mayavad philosophy is to spread ignorance. Why? Because people who are atheists, they want to become God. They want to deride God. Okay, I'll build them. What will happen, if they hear this philosophy? Yes, yesham shravana matrena. Just by hearing this philosophy, patityam jnaninam, even great learned scholars will fall down. That's why, it is so very scary. Most of us, we don't know what is Mayavad. In the beginning days of ISKCON, when all the devotees, they were hearing Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was very strong against Mayavadis and Sannyasis. So all these young disciples, they were thinking, ये मायावादियों ने ना लगता है प्रभुपाद का कुछ बिगाड़ा है. They must have done some wrong to him. That's why he is so much against Mayavadis. Because they were not understanding what is this Mayavad, why Prabhupada is so much against Mayavadis. But Mayavad is such a powerful, it is actually not a philosophy. It is a sentiment. It is the innate desire of each and every living entity to become God. That's why we have come here, right? We have come here in this world. Why? To become God. We didn't want to stay with Krishna. We told हमको अपना अलग साम्राज्य चाहिए. Okay, you go. I'll give you a chance. That is the innate desire of each and every living entity. And when somebody tells this is a right bona fide desire, it is mentioned in the scriptures. अच्छा कहाँ लिखा है? Oh, just see. So that's how, it is all illogical. It doesn't make sense, but still you cannot refute. You cannot defeat Mayavadis logically because they give all illogical arguments. Therefore, yesham shravana matrena patityam jnaninam api. Even big scholars will fall down. Apartham shruti vakyanam darshayan loka garhitam. In this philosophy, it is very inauspicious. Very inauspicious. Garhitam, very inauspicious. And in this philosophy, what I have done, I have thoroughly misinterpreted the meanings of the scriptures. Thoroughly misinterpreted. Mayavadis, they, Shankaracharya, what he did, he divided all the Vedic literatures into Laghu Vakyas and Mahavakya. Higher literatures and lower literatures. Which are higher, which are lower. Any literature which helps him to misinterpret things properly, that is the higher literature. As simple as that. Because some literatures, they have some cryptic statements which can be easily misinterpreted. This is a Mahavakya. This is a Paramarthik literature, higher literature. And all these other literatures, all these Puranas, they are so straight, you cannot misinterpret it. So it is a lower literature. It is a Paramarthik. It is a Vyavaharik, sorry. Vyavaharik means lower literature of this world. He's telling, Lord Shiva is telling himself to Parvati, I have thoroughly misinterpreted all these Vedas. And in that, what I have done? I have recommended that one should give up all activities in order to achieve liberation. And in that, I have described that Jivatma and Paramatma, they are one. That is ultimately Mayavad philosophy. Therefore, when somebody reads this Mayavad philosophy and develops a emotion, develops a connection for it, it is very difficult to give it up. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continues. According to spiritual understanding, according to direct understanding, it says direct, mukhya vritti. What is a direct understanding? Absolute truth is supreme, all spiritual, full of all potencies. Nobody can be equal to him or greater than him. Prabhupada writes that Supreme Lord is described in 3 features. He quotes a verse from Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattvavida tattvam yadyanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. The same Supreme Lord, he is explained in different features. Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And all the scriptures very clearly say there is nothing greater than Krishna. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya, there is nobody, nothing greater than me. How can you say, Mayavadis, they say that supreme absolute truth, when covered with modes of goodness, becomes avatar. Supreme Lord, Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahman, covered with mode of passion, becomes living entity or jiva. Supreme Brahman, covered with mode of ignorance, becomes dead matter. That is their understanding. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? How is this possible? Because Supreme Lord is all spiritual. His paraphernalia is spiritual. His opulences are spiritual. But Mayavadis, they convert, his spiritual existence and cover the glory of the Supreme by this theory of impersonalism. It is not proper. Because Krishna is always supreme. He doesn't get affected. When the scriptures, they tell that Lord is Nirvikar, that does not mean he has no form. We should be very, very clear. Because in many places, it is described that Lord is Nirvikar. Nirvikar doesn't mean that he has no form. That means he doesn't have form like us. We have material form. Lord's form is not material. That's what Arjuna asks Krishna when Krishna tells him, you are not the first one I am speaking this knowledge to. Be assured, O Arjuna, I have spoken this knowledge to Sun God in the beginning of creation. Yam vyosvate yogan proktamanam avyam vyasman manave pram anuritsvaka vabravit. Arjuna says, wait a minute. You and me are of same age. Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvata kathametad vijaniyam tamado proktavaniti. You and me are of same age. How can I understand that you spoke this knowledge to Sun God in the beginning? Looks little confusing. Then Krishna says, yes. Very right question you have asked, O Arjun. But please understand that my form is not like yours form. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma maya. O Arjuna, both you and me have taken birth many times. You don't remember anything, I remember all. I am unborn, eternal, and I am the Lord of all the living beings. Ajaha, Avyayatma, Bhutanam, Ishvara. I am not bound by the modes of material nature. I come by my own free will. Therefore, Lord never gets affected. Lord's body is spiritual. He doesn't have a form like us. That means he has a spiritual form. Om Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Body of the Lord is spiritual. And even if the body of the Lord expands, the Lord remains as it is. Lord does not get decreased. Complete wholes emanate from the complete, and yet the complete remains the complete. It remains the same. And Prabhupada quotes so many scriptures establishing that Lord is a person. Actually, for a devotee, it is so very painful to hear that somebody is telling Lord is not a person. It is such a painful thing to hear for a devotee. Just like it is simple as that, if you love somebody and if other person is telling, oh, this person has no form, he has no eyes, no ears, will feel bad. So devotee of the Lord, because they love Lord has beautiful features. Angani yasya sakalendriya, all his bodily features, they are so perfect. All the body parts of Krishna, they are immensely beautiful. Sita madhurya saranya siddhi nahita tiho madhuryadi gunakhani. Lord is the embodiment of all rasa. He is the, he is the mine of all the wonderful qualities, quintessence. So if Supreme Lord, who is full of all the qualities, and somebody tells Lord has no form, devotee feels so bad. So therefore, Prabhupada is again and again establishing that Lord has a form, and he's putting so many verses. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate, everything is coming from me. So me means I am a person. He quotes from Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Parashya Shakti Vividhaiva Shruyate. If all these are energies, so energy means there is an energetic, right? If all these manifestations, they are energies of Krishna. So from where these energies are coming, there should be energetic. He quotes from Rigveda. Om tad Vishnu paramam padam sada pashyanti surayaha. Where it is described that Vishnu is a supreme and only a learned person can worship him, can have darshan of his lotus feet. He quotes from Prashna Upanishad, Ādī-Līlā Upanishad, so many scriptures. He's quoting again and again. He quotes another one, nice verse from Shvetashvatara Upanishad called Apani Pado Javano Grihita. This verse tells Lord has no legs and no hands. Just see. Now we told you Lord has no form and no legs and no hand. Just see, Shvetashvatara Upanishad is telling. That's what Mayavadi says. This is the impersonal understanding. But the actual understanding is, it does not mean Lord has no legs, no hand. That means his legs, his hands, his form is spiritual, not like our material form, So therefore, Supreme Lord has spiritual potencies. Everything about him is spiritual. Lord has nothing material. His name, form, his abode, everything is spiritual. But only Mayavadis, they are so foolish, so ignorant that they think that Supreme Lord, what we call as the avatar, it is a transformation of mode of goodness. They are so ignorant. Yanye arvindaksha vimuktamanina tvayasta bhava avishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichrena param padam tata patanti yadha anadrityushmadangrayah. So people who have lost their good intelligence, they interpret in this way. So this is how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is continuing his explanation about Mayavad philosophy. We'll continue next time. Tomorrow we'll not be having class. We'll continue next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions? Can ask if you have any questions. Okay, so there are no questions, so we'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Caitanya Caritāmrta ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai.